practice, and you always talk about you're in the day, you want to get better for that day. You finally get your team on a practice. What kind of things do you want to work on as a coach in this series?
Yeah, I actually felt today we did an audible today in practice where we had the drills lined up and felt we could tweak something right in the middle of practice, and we went to a different drill, and I liked it, and we stayed with it. And the biggest thing for me was we need to keep getting better. So when I think of practice, it's how do we get better, not only as a team collectively but individually. We have, as we've spoken many times and I've mentioned many times, we have such a ceiling and a capacity for skill and growth individually and collectively that practice is another opportunity to chip away at that. And I felt today in the middle of that there was something we could shift to that would serve that purpose better. And at the end of it, I thought the way our guys attacked practice, they got better today, and that's I'm very happy as a coach when that happens.
Has Tage been dealing with something, or is something that happened in Minnesota?
He's been, like lots of players, dealing with nagging issues, and they're a little bit more from last game. So way better for him to just take the day. He could have skated today, but way better for him to just take a day.
So preliminarily, you're thinking he should be able to play Wednesday?
Yes. Well, we don't have to make a decision, so no decisions need to be made today. Samuelson and Cousins return to practice. I don't need a decision today, so let those guys skate. And I'm pretty certain Thompson will be in practice tomorrow, and we'll have a conversation after that. Lots of these situations that those three players are in right now, where if there's a clarity in it, you could think of a flare-up situation with an injury, and you either rest it and it recovers, or you continue to play with it and it never goes away. And that's when these guys take these maintenance days. That's what we're dealing with, and these three particular players' cases, that's what we're dealing with.
What has this been like as a coach to not have practice time? We've talked about why you do it. It makes perfect sense. But how much as a coach have you been, wanting to get a hold of them a little bit in practice?
Well, I love practice. I think all coaches do. But you match that against, we had 12 games, 20 days. And the first 4 games of that gave me enough of the picture that we're a young team, and we're learning how to play more efficient, which then is more effective, or can be more effective in performance. And experienced players, by virtue of their experience, tend to know how to play more efficient. I felt we are a much better team fresh. We're a fast team, we're quick, we have skill, and that deteriorates extremely fast upon fatigue, all of those elements. So it was a pretty clear indicator to me after just the first couple games of this bulk of games in a short stretch. The rest was way more beneficial than practice for us. So then, at that point, then you supplement what you would do in practice through, other means, meetings, video. And so I was very, very comfortable in the sense that it was the right thing to do, and we would see better performance. I'm not saying wins, but I clearly knew we'd see better performance. And then, obviously, we had some success winning, which you can now attribute to maybe that. But it was no question our performance was suffering because of fatigue. We just couldn't execute at a level that we all have watched us execute. And when that's the case, there's usually something underlying that, fatigue or injury, which sometimes you guys don't get that information for the safety of the player. But in this case, it was an easy decision, and that's why today was exciting, because in practice it's an opportunity to get better, to add to where you were. And We had to forego that because of the schedule, and I thought our guys did a great job in it.
Kyle just said that this team, it's taken longer than he thought, but you guys have forged an identity and kind of reaped the benefits on the road trip. Just how you guys are comfortable playing any type of game? Just how have you seen it come to fruition, I guess, over these past maybe few weeks?
Interesting. It doesn't feel like it's come to fruition. It just feels like, these guys are really intent upon continuing to get better. Everything's relative. So if you talked about the start of the year and the start of next year, it's all relative. That's all these changes you need to figure out through the course of games. I remember talking to Mike earlier in the year, and there's a point in everybody's head, 20 games in if you're not in this situation, or like Thanksgiving, and it's almost like you got to go through the league and gauge all of your competitors. So we go on the road and we see Winnipeg and Dallas and Dallas, and it gives your guys a chance to say, okay, are we willing to raise the bar to this level? Can we raise the bar to this level? And as we're going through the league, we have that opportunity to gauge where we are. That group, our guys, and they are taking in all of that information game after game after game, and they know the identity that we have and we want, and they know our strengths and maybe some of our weaknesses, and they're calibrating. They're looking at it and saying, "Hey, let's rise to this." So that process is going to keep going. I think what's happening is they're familiar with that now as a process, much better. We've had stability in health, which is enormous, because we've seen the Stanley Cup champion this year have lots of trouble because of health, and so you need those things to stabilize to have that process go underway. I think what's taken it out of us in the past a lot has been dealing with injuries. So now we're healthier to the point that we can engage in that process, and I think those guys have identified that is part of the process, and they're more comfortable as a result and targeting things better, and it's fun to watch.
Don, Bobby Hull passed away. Being from Chicago, what did he mean to the city of Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, he was part of a big era in Chicago with Blackhawk hockey, and the Blackhawks overall is obviously an original six team, but for me personally, Blackhawk hockey was everything for me. It's why I got into the sport, going to Blackhawk games as a kid. He was a little bit before my awareness, but it's I wouldn't be here without Chicago Blackhawks. I can tell you that. So,
Don, how do you balance using the playoffs, the standings, any of that bulletin board stuff as motivation for the guys, while also keeping them focused on the game in front of them? Some of them said that they're aware of where they are, but it's also one game at a time.
Yeah, I mean, you should be aware you are. I look at the standings, but I also know when I look at the standings, they're completely irrelevant. Moving forward, there's jobs to be done, work to be done, and that's exciting. Every day is an exciting challenge at this level. Especially, it's exciting when you have capable people that are working to figure it out. So I don't think much of it. I think if our next game's Carolina, and it's an important game. Every game's important, and so where you want to go, and you want to win, and you want to keep winning. The only way you can possibly do that is stay in the moment and take care of what you take care of. And Carolina's our next game, and that's going to be 99.99% of our focus. So.
Last two games were great atmospheres here. What did the crowd do for the team in those two nights, and how much is the team looking forward to being at home?
Yeah, this building is amazing, and more so as that capacity goes up and up and up. You just feel the more energy, and as I've mentioned many times, our team does feed off the energy in this building, and we've seen it many times now in big games, hyped games before the game even started. And we think of Ryan Miller night, RJ night, You know, there was a lot of hype on certain games last year and through the course of the year, and when when that's the case, it's an incredible experience to be in here with our team and our group that feeds off it.
Thanks, Dennis.